In these two series, we've really covered a lot of ground. Hopefully the examples have shown that there's really no single best workflow when it comes to drawing in perspective. Sometimes I'll start with a grid and sometimes I won't. Neither way is better than the other, it just all comes down to what makes sense for that image. The important part though is that getting used to seeing perspective everywhere. If you look at a photo, really a photo of anything, it's good to be able to envision the construction lines. Be able to abstract it down into those geometric shapes, know where the horizon line is, and just think about structure. I encourage you to do the same thing with paintings, whether they're your own paintings that are finished or famous classic paintings. It's good to be able to look at them and envision the structure. In this way, you can mentally practice. And I'm serious when I say this. You can get better without ever even lifting a pencil if you're just constantly thinking about perspective. So in a sense, you could replace the word perspective with structure. Because I think especially if you need to draw from your imagination, whether you're a concept artist or an illustrator, being able to start with structure and then wrap details around it is really important. It has a way of grounding your images and avoiding problems that crop up later in the drawing process. Now, when it comes to accuracy, every artist is going to have a different approach to perspective. I tend to favor speed and looseness over mathematical precision, but your requirements might be different. If you needed to create really specific, accurate diagrams, some of these methods probably wouldn't work too well for you. But as a concept artist, my requirements are being quick. I need to get out a lot of ideas onto the page, and having a sort of sketch freehand method allows me to do that. I don't get bogged down with too many of the rules. But sometimes I am going to need a little more precision. This is a time where I would use 3D software. Now, I didn't touch on 3D software yet in these videos because they're a bit beyond the scope of it. But if my assignment required it, I'd probably use SketchUp as a framework. I really like this software because it's free, and it's also great for sketching. It seems to be built by someone who used to draw by hand and then wanted to bring it into the computer. So here you can see I'm working inside of 3D software, but I've set up some textures to make it look a lot like the constructive 2D perspective drawing I'm used to. This way, once I've got the nice understructure, I can do a few quick renders, bring them back into Photoshop, and here's where I'm going to add all the extra details anyway. So in this way, 3D software is never a replacement for drawing in perspective. You always have to know how to do it manually. But it is a balancing act. If I were just doing a creature, freehand sketching might be faster. But as my scene gets more and more complex, I know that I'll personally save time by beginning with 3D, bringing that into Photoshop, and then continuing in 2D. Now, if I am going to start in 3D, it's really important to begin with good thumbnail sketches. Because if you have a good thumbnail sketch, the time you spend modeling in 3D is just going to be better spent. You won't mess around as much, you'll go right towards your intended goal. But at the end of the day, your balance between speed and accuracy is going to be a personal choice. I hope you've learned some new information in these series, and I hope that you are more excited to use perspective in your own designs and illustrations, especially if you were avoiding it before. Hopefully you see that, well, it's just really not so scary. I also want to really thank you for supporting the site. This is so important. By buying this series, you're helping to keep the site up and running and allow me to keep creating new free videos every week. I really appreciate it. So good luck with your drawing, and thanks for coming to Control Paint.